Okay, so I just wanted to remind everybody that we've got our nominations for GSU folks for our OER Excellence Awards. There's a QR code on the screen there, and there we go. And maybe somebody can share the URL as well. So if you're a GSU person, please nominate somebody for an OER award for excellence in OER at GSU. We do have pre-recorded sessions for some folks. We had a huge turnout of submissions for this symposium. So we have some pre-recorded sessions on our site. There we go. That's the same place that the live recordings will be posted to. We've got a number of pre-recorded mini sessions posted to there. We had so many people submit sessions that we could not get everybody in. So we thank everybody who submitted a session, and this was our way of including everybody. So just wanted to add those. Let me check my notes here and see if I have forgotten something else. Yes, I have. Also, Jeff Gallant, who was attending earlier in the day, posted an intro to Affordable Learning Georgia program as a video that we have also posted on this same site. And I think that's everything. Charlene, did I miss anything? I think that's everything you asked me to take a look. Oh, feedback. Let me paste this into the chat. I do have the URL. There we go. There's the feedback form for today's session. We may share some of these links again. I think Charlene and I are going to wrap up after my conversation with Cyntoria. But just to let you all know, we do have a feedback form there. We would love to hear from you all about what you thought of today's sessions, the format, how things went, etc. So just to give us feedback for next year. We love doing this this session. Yeah, Cyntoria, you're able to unmute now, right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Okay, great.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Thank you
Uh,
for your
yeah, sure. With no further ado, let me introduce you real quick then, and Cyntoria and I are going to have a quick casual conversation, and we would love to have your questions and comments dropped into chat, and I think we can call on people if you have questions as well. So we're going to start a conversation. But let me first introduce our distinguished guest, Cyntoria Johnson, JD, who is a clinical associate professor in the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology at the Andrew Young School of Policy Studies here at Georgia State University. She also serves as a faculty associate in the Center for Excellence in Teaching, Learning, and Online Education, that's CETLO, which I have the privilege of being the liaison librarian for, and she focuses on large enrollment pedagogy and affordable learning initiatives. Cyntoria, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is great. And I just want to say at the outset, thank you all, you and Charlene and all the others who have poured into this symposium, and it has grown. I can't wait to go back and view the recordings from earlier. I've been at Faculty Development Day out at Perimeter all morning presenting on ALG stuff. So I'm really, really excited to see
Fantastic.
what some of the presentations that I missed. So
We've had a really great
thank you
day
all
of
for the hard work
presentations. Yeah,
and
oh, thank
time
you.
put
Thank
into
you
this.
for the kind words. We've had a really great day of presentations, and just to reiterate, we recorded the whole day. I will be posting presentations as fast as I can next week. So Um,
Perfect.
so Tori and I met for a few minutes the other day to decide what we wanted to, kind of how we wanted to couch the discussion this afternoon, and we sort of decided that our theme was going to be, okay, now what next? Um, one thing that we came up with is this idea right here. I'm going to post a Google Doc in the chat. This should be open for anybody to add to. Anything that you want to post links to, favorite tools that you learned about today. We want to just make this a shared toolbox. It's on my Google account, but I'll just leave it up forever. Any links, any notes or whatever that you want to post from ideas that you heard about today, please feel free to just drop in there, and that'll just be there as long as Google Docs are around. So while that happens in the back channel, let me just start. Cyntoria, what was, I know you didn't see all of the presentations today. Did you have, I hope you were able to see some of them. Did you have favorite lessons that you learned today, or something that surprised you, or information that was new to you today?
I, you know, what my takeaway is, and what I enjoyed seeing was that the great diversity. I know that's like a taboo word. We're not supposed like the
Let's
dirty word we
let's
shouldn't
say it.
use
No, let's
anymore.
say
But
it.
just a wide array of when we talk about affordable learning and open education, and certainly into open pedagogy, that can be done. I don't care what your discipline is, in what college your discipline is. It is something that we all can do. And what I see is that we all have a responsibility to our students. And I just am thrilled by the idea of folks taking that on as something serious, because it has meaningful impact for our students. And in the spirit of open, I also like how folks are willing to share out what they've learned, their best practices, their lessons, um, so that folks don't have to come behind you and reinvent the wheel. So those were my main takeaways: the interdisciplinary nature of open, affordable education, and our we as faculty sit in a very powerful seat, and we can make choices in our classrooms. The question is, what choices are we going to make? And are they ones that are going to be best suited for our students? So that came across in multiple ways for me today. I'm excited about all of it.
I was really bowled over by that. I mean, I knew what the program was going to be, obviously, since I'm one of the organizers, but just the range of stuff that we had presented under this umbrella. One of the things that was really, we were going through our submissions this year, and the group was looking at it, and we had a presentation about carpentry, and you and applying OER principles to carpentry learning, and we saw that in our submissions, and we were like, okay, we've got to see what this is. So we've got to have this, but we've had programming discussions, we've had data discussions on some of the pre-recorded sessions are going to be really good. We had a comics presentation from one of our library colleagues, and we've got one of the pre-recorded sessions is about language learning, and so just the range of stuff that we can apply all this to. I know I'm kind of saying what you just said, but that and I'm always struck. We've done this for a couple of years now. I guess this is the third year that we've done this symposium, and I'm always struck by how much the people who care about OER really care about our students.
Yes.
It's all about what's best for the students, what works well in the classroom, what makes sense economically, what makes sense for the university and everything. But all of those things always come back to being centered on what we care about, what is the best for the students, and how the students get shafted by textbook prices, and access codes. I learned about the homework access codes today as a librarian. I didn't even know about that. I knew about the textbook access codes, but I did not know that they were paying to do their homework. And I am genuinely not sure if I would have finished my degree if that had been the case when I was in school. So.
Oh,
Um, well, what can we do? The basic thing, I guess, as far as taking on OER practices is adopting an OER textbook. And hopefully, I assume most of the people that are still here are diehards and doing that already. How do we move past that into open pedagogy practices? This is something that I am just really kind of learning about myself, and I'd love to hear what, what are steps we can take to move into open pedagogy.
Use library licensed resources.
Use library
Yes.
licensed resources.
Yes. Yeah.
Students
What
produce them.
and take ownership and autonomy over put them in the driver's seat of their own learning. I'm new to the open pedagogy space, so it's something that I'm learning up. And what I understand so far is not just the resources that we integrate into our classrooms, but what we do with them. Excuse me, and the assignments that we give, right? So even something as simple as introducing choice. Excuse me. Please excuse me, y'all. Introducing choice into the classroom, giving students the autonomy to pick how they want to demonstrate their learning, using renewable um, assignments versus the traditional disposable ones, right? The ones that really don't have any value outside of the classroom. Having students to pick how they want to demonstrate their learning, and also making these assignments relatable, something that they can use beyond the course, a teaching portfolio, or some assignment that they can present as a sample of their work when they go out on the job market, etc. Typically, when we design our assignments, they're a one-way instruction, right? It's a one-way conversation
Right.
between the student and the teacher. Well, a renewable and an open pedagogy assignment is one that can be shared out with not only others in the classroom, but beyond the class too. Major takeaways I have on open pedagogy. Would anybody else like to share on what they know about open pedagogy
Yeah, I
or
typed this in
ideas,
chat.
samples?
Yeah, I typed this in chat, but if you wanna chime in, raise your hand in the room, or just unmute yourself, honestly, if you want to, or type anything in chat. Charlene mentioned the Padlet, the last presentation that we saw as a renewable assignments example.
And by the way, hi, Ashley. That's another takeaway I have. You run into folks in this open space that you've met in another open space that you can tell folks are really passionate about this work because we see each other in these spaces over and over again. But it's good to see you.
Heather's comment, I'll repeat just for the recording. She wants to acknowledge how much open pedagogy aligns with feminist pedagogy and practice, which they've been using for decades. Do you want to
Yeah.
unmute and expand on that at all, Heather? You don't have to, but I'd love to hear from you if you want to.
Yeah, I agree.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, sorry, I'm not on my headphones anymore, but
Yeah, loud
and
and
I
clear.
think we've also heard at least here at Wisconsin Madison, education innovation, right? So I think we've kind of hearing these different ways of teaching that shift the power structures in the classroom, which is feminist pedagogy 101, which includes praxis, so putting our learning into action. They've been doing for decades. And it does kind of upset me that that has been ignored. And actually, women's studies had to fight for that kind of teaching and flexible teaching, going into spaces that aren't a classroom, incorporating advocacy into your pedagogy. They had to fight for this, and it has not been recognized on campuses. And then it kind of gets turned into different terminology that, I mean, we're still fighting for OERs, and I love open pedagogy and will fight for open pedagogy, but I also want to acknowledge the work that mostly women have been doing on campuses for decades that has not been acknowledged.
Thank you for that. Well said. Yeah, thank you. I know we have, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. We jotted down a few things that I didn't want to forget to mention. I would love to talk about what we are doing at GSU and what we are planning to do in the near future. Cyntoria, if you want to sort of talk about anything that's going on at CETLO, I've got a couple of links that I'm going to put into chat for events that we talked about.
Well, yeah. Well, first, let me start out by saying, you know, affordable learning, making learning accessible and open and affordable for our students is a priority of ours. It is in our strategic plan, part of it. And it's also a high priority for our provost. It's a provost initiative. And so we have been working very hard to do some targeted outreach. I don't know if you guys are aware, but we have still, even with all of this great information we know about how learning, affordable learning can be impactful and meaningful for our students, there are still some really, really high textbooks on our campus. We have saved, the numbers just came out this week. We have saved $17.5 million in in no cost offerings, cost avoidance for our students. That's money back into our students' pockets.
That's amazing.
And that they can use for groceries, for their cell phones, for other necessary things, right? So that is a great big win, but it's also giving us perspective. And just while we are at the top of the list in terms of that number and the strides that we've made, we're above the average when it comes to all USG schools, and we're also above the average when it comes to putting us against other research universities. So that's a great place to start, to say that we're doing great work in this space, but we can do so much more. We can. When you look at the data, we know that there are textbooks still in the 500s, in the 400s, in the $200 range. And that's an issue. That's an issue for our students. And we know that it impacts student success as well. So we have initiatives to do some targeted outreach, especially to those outliers, the departments that are still in the high ranges, and also that impact a great number of students. So where the enrollments are high in those high dollar textbook brackets. That has been really successful because we have faculty who are trying to find more information about getting support for ALG grants and the other support to be able to start transforming their courses. So we're happy about that movement. We're also working on an inclusive access program. So in those departments where they don't have an OER that exists necessarily, or the one that they would choose for their discipline or in those courses, that we can have still an option to still use that textbook, but negotiate with these publishers to come down some. And yes, there is an opportunity for students also, but the idea here is to prevent folks from having to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars for these costs, bring it down to 40. And even that shouldn't come out of their pocket. It will come out of their tuition and fees. All right, so there's a number of different initiatives that we have as a part of CETLO, and also that I'm working on. And we love to get folks who are interested in this work to join us and to spread the word. You just attended an all-day conference where you learned a lot of great information. Go and share that out. Share that with your faculty and be a champion in your own units to to forward this cause. Yeah, but other events that we're looking into, I can't wait for our sister event the library is putting on, that Charlene and the team has organized to celebrate and recognize folks who are doing great work in the affordable learning open ed space. And that will be, Charlene, the 25th of this month?
Plug that, Charlene.
Yes, I am gonna put the link right into the chat there.
And
And
nominations
it
are still being
is
accepted. So if you have not checked it out, please do that with the link there.
This is
accepted until the 14th. So
This is a great way to recognize OER work that's being done at GSU if you know somebody or maybe if you are somebody, get
Yes.
someone to nominate you.
And
I guess
an educator can be nominated by either a student or an educator. So
yeah, share this with your classes too. Yeah, that's fantastic. Are there anybody in the room, Cyntoria in particular, but anybody in the room, are there favorite OER initiatives other than today that you've seen or that you've been involved in that we haven't talked about yet? We've got our OpenStax partnership at GSU. I know, I think Charlene and Denise have been instrumental in that, if I'm right, picking on the right colleagues. Getting free and affordable textbooks adopted at GSU. For me, just being involved with being Denise and Charlene's direct colleague has taught me a ton about OER, and that's been really, really beneficial for me and for the work that I do.
a new thing that I have recently become obsessed with is the open science framework. So it's osf.io. I'll put that in the chat. Just copy that into your browser. And it encourages basically a sort of institutional review board process with outside of your institutional review board, you would still need to do your institutional review board. But this process is more of a transparency oriented process where you post your protocols for research into a framework that is just beautifully constructed. The people who designed this, I think, are brilliant. So I highly recommend looking into it if you're doing any research. Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, all of it is, it's called Open Science Framework. It means all sciences, all research is on there. So, yeah.
Cyntoria, favorite initiatives that we haven't mentioned yet, or have we hit your high points?
Well, I just put in the chat. Well, it looks like a really long link. Gosh, I should have just gotten it from. I got it from an email that so the call for proposals is out. If you guys are interested in going to the National Open Education Conference, that they're accepting proposals now for that particular conference. And what I love about it is, um, it's both in person and it's virtual. It's a hybrid event. And it will be held in October, so there's some time to get ready in Denver. And so it's welcoming proposals from across the globe. I attended last year, I also volunteered last year, and I didn't step foot on a plane in order to do so. I did it virtually, and I'm really excited about these conferences, especially the ones in the affordable learning, open ed space, where you don't have to spend $2,000 to get there and participate. So if you're interested in learning what other folks are doing globally too, that's a good one to go to. Did the link work? Can someone try it and let me know?
Yeah, I posted I pasted it into my browser and posted the shorter version into the chat here.
Okay,
So
awesome.
yeah, there you
Perfect.
go. You got it. Yeah, yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Outlook
that's
likes
a
to
good one to
garble
go
these
to.
links.
And also it's a good one to volunteer for it as well. If you want to just get on their mailing list and just see what's coming out from Open Ed Network, then sign up for their newsletter.
We're coming up on close to the 4:30 half hour. So, so we'll need to wrap up this conversation in just a second. But one of my questions that I really wanted to ask the room is what skills should you develop to work effectively with OER? Some of them come to mind. You should have at least a little bit of comfort with copyright and Creative Commons, maybe. you should, be comfortable going out and doing some searching to track down the best OER resources and finding, at least knowing where some of the good repositories are. We've really had some other conversations about other possibilities, for some really creative ways to adopt OER. I wonder if there are thoughts in the room about what skills would stand you in good stead as you're working on OER projects. 20th anniversary of Creative Commons, Denise says. That's fantastic. I think Arthur's presentation got to, what was the name of that format that Arthur used? Menti something? Yes, that was really generated some cool ideas about resources and skills and things like that some of which I hadn't thought of. One of my favorite responses was, "We have a lawyer." But you don't have to have a lawyer, obviously, that was just one that struck me as funny. But, and you don't have to be a copyright expert. You just have to be willing to go out and find or create these resources. We saw some, Jenny's discussion about comics had some actual physical creativity involved. I feel like creativity is probably a key point if you're creating your own. Charlene, can you talk about what that link is? And then Laura's got a comment as well that I'll read for the recording.
Sure. I just shared a link in the chat. It is to a book that was published through ACRL. And it's called Scholarly Communication, Librarianship, and Open Knowledge. And it is amazing. It has so many resources in it, and it is available as an open access edition here. That's it. Highly recommend to read it.
Our department head, mine and Charlene's and some of the other folks in the room, Laura, has put in chat, as someone who manages people, I'd say the ability to talk about the impact of OER work, or someone who can help you articulate the impact and why the time spent is worth it. That's something that we talk about here all the time, is demonstrating, or I don't like to use the businessy speak of marketing, but being able to, what Laura said, just be talking about the impact. That's a great pull. I think that's pretty vital.
I
Explaining the
agree with
impact on
you too.
yeah.
Yeah. Laura, that's a great point. I mean, it's the reason why we do what we do, right? It's seeing those students really struggling in the classroom and to know that we can actually do something about it. That impact is huge. And Charlene, I just want to let you know, having spent the day up at Perimeter, your study and your photos from said study, where students are actually articulating what cost savings meant for them, right? I didn't have to buy this $400 textbook, so therefore I was able to buy groceries. It's traveling around, and you're sort of this hot commodity now because that study is so we're talking about impact, and it can't get more real than that I wasn't able to buy groceries for 2 weeks because I had to buy this textbook. And if you don't have warm, I don't know if you don't have warm blood running through your veins after hearing that, so it was
Yeah.
very moving. And so that came up a number of times in the presentations there at Faculty Development. So
Our
I just want
colleague,
you to know that.
thank you. Our colleague Hosanna, she shared a similar experience with having transformed to open. The reason why she did was one of her students, among other statements, one student said that she couldn't feed her child because she was, not that she couldn't feed her child, but that it was costing more than diapers and food for her
Costing more than
kid,
diapers. I remember
something
that.
like that.
I remember that comment. Yeah.
Those statements are powerful.
I was a GSU
Absolutely.
student a long time ago, and textbooks were expensive back then. I am shocked to learn how much more expensive they are now. I genuinely don't know how some of our students are doing it. Yeah, this is, I mean, you want to talk about impact, you can't get much more direct than that.
Sure. And even beyond just the typical student, when we think of, there was one person in the audience who said, I'm a full-time employee. I have a salary and I'm pursuing my whatever MBA degree or whatever it was. I have trouble getting my textbooks and I have a job, a good job at that. So imagine what a student would be going through when they don't have those opportunities. And she said, even my tuition is actually paid through the TAP program, and I still have trouble buying my textbooks as a full-time employee. So it definitely puts things in perspective. Thank you, Laura, for the comment.
I know we are about at time here, so I want to wrap up this conversation with a couple of things. First and foremost, to thank Dr. Johnson for her time, and we always love having you involved in these things, Cyntoria. So thank
Yeah,
you once
anytime.
again for that. We really appreciate it. I did post CETLA, which is the GSU. Sorry, let me copy paste again. That's the GSU Center for Excellence in Teaching, Learning, and Online Education. If you are one of our GSU folks, that is an excellent resource if you want to get info about getting started with OERs. Another excellent resource, if I say so myself, is if you are a GSU person and you do not know who your subject librarian is. It might be me, it might be Denise, it might be Charlene, it might be Mandy, it might be a number of people here in the room. There is a directory of, we've got a subject librarian for every academic department on campus. Contact anybody who is involved in organizing this conference, me or Charlene or anybody. We can tell you who your subject librarian is. Please do that. There's a plug from Mandy for the Research Data Services Department. Thank you for that, Mandy, as well. And Charlene asked me about saving a transcript of the WebEx chat, which I'm going to do at the end of today. So I'm going to wrap up this conversation there. And I think Charlene and I are going to sort of wrap up the day at this point. Thank you all so very much. Charlene, some closing remarks for the day?
My closing remark is just to say thank you so much to every single person who has been involved in presenting, coordinating, marketing, spreading the word, and just trying to help our students get through their degree so that they can live a life that they are going to enjoy. So, yeah.
Charlene will not say so, but Charlene is the brain behind this entire event. She's been the executive producer and mind behind it for 3 years running. And I really just want, on behalf of the whole team who assisted her with this, I want to give big props to Charlene and a big round of applause to her. This event is really her baby, and she puts her whole heart into it. Thank you, Charlene, for all that you've done to make this
Thank you. That was
such a
very
fun
sweet.
and cool event. We really
Thank you.
appreciate
I
you.
could not do it without you guys, so thank you.
Thank
All
you all
right.
so much. Look for recordings on that website. If you've lost track of it, email me or Charlene, and we'll get it to you. And I'll post recordings as fast as I can next week. Happy Friday, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye bye.